Everyone, it's Friday, and this is the second episode of In the Car This Week. I forget what the heck I was talking about on Monday. My memory is just not good. I blame old age. I don't know. I also blame the fact that I do these kind of on the fly for the most part. Oh, damn, I actually had something written down. That I wanted to talk about, and I forgot it, of course. It was... Yes, I remember. Okay, two parts. First part, I want to talk about something that I read on the Keen and Grave website, which I never go to. That's just, yeah, their reputation precedes them, and it's not the kind of place that I like to go. But I did... the topic was about how Dark Age Camelot was really about PvE, and I'm not going to reiterate their post, but it was, you know, Dark Age Camelot, of course, is considered the granddaddy of modern realm versus realm mechanics, which brings us, you know, if we jump ahead to today, we're talking about Crowfall. That's the most recent, you know, realm versus realm PvP game, and very much like Archage, which was probably the other most recent PvP centric game. You know, the post that I read essentially, you know, had one line in it which said that, you know, they were concerned that Crowfall wasn't focusing or didn't have anything good, or, you know, had nothing about PvE. Now, there are people, of course, out there who know more about Crowfall than I am, and I'm not going to try and pass myself off as Crowfall does this, Crowfall does that. From what I've read, okay, from what I understood about it, Crowfall is mainly about PvP, and that's okay. Its PvE aspects are focused more around crafting and support than they are around, you know, being a dedicated PvE player who goes into this game and has a wealth of content to busy themselves with. So, you know, in that regard, when you've got when your game is being sold as primarily PvP, and when your PvE mechanics are designed to support PvP, then you can verily say that your game is PvP focused. And, you know, the weird thing is that it seems to be, you know, when we get down to these games, they seem to be marketed as either or. You know, so Dark Age Camelot had PvE, and according to this article, you know, PvP existed solely to make room for PvE, right? I played Dark Age of Camelot for maybe about 2 weeks, but according to this post, you know, they were saying that you went into PvP in order to push the bounds for your faction, so you could get access to certain areas that you needed for PvE. So essentially, PvE was driving your reason, your in-game reason for PvP, even though people liked the game for the PvP. They came for the PvP, but the game kind of pushed them to do PvP in order to support the PvE. And I guess that kind of makes sense. You're looking at it from two different directions. What the game wants you to do and what the people want to do. And it's really weird that a lot of games now focus on one or the other. You know, nobody sells their game as, you know, great PvE with PvP. You know, they kind of put a bunch of bullet points that kind of add up to the unspoken, you know, player versus environment situation. But PvP games are really all about selling it as PvP, and, you know, Crowfall and Camelot Unchained and Archage really went, you know, overboard to ensure that you understood that this game was all about PvP, and that their PvE elements are more or less marginalized. there is really no game out there that balances the two of these things well. It's either a PvE game with half-assed PvP, or a PvP game with, you know, concessions to PvE. So it's like they're trying to make a game, but they realize that they have to throw a bone to a totally different segment just so they can, you know, nab buyers or subscribers. And it's, I don't know if there really is there a middle ground? Is there a middle ground where you can actually make a game that appeals to both PvE and PvPers and doesn't, you know, I guess celebrate one over the other? I don't think it's been done, and I don't really see how it could be done, to be honest. So that was that. That's, I don't know, that was just a thought I had this morning when I was reading that post. Another post we were discussing actually on Google Plus this morning, talking about, you know, it's good to know that I'm not the only person recently who's been in a kind of a gaming slump in certain aspects. I used to be all about MMOs, right? MMOs. Lately, not so much. Not so much. You know, there's a lot of good MMOs out there. You know, Elder Scrolls Online went free to play. I should be all over that. Loved Skyrim. Actually, really liked Elder Scrolls Online. Had a great time. Just recently purchased the $20 transfer to PlayStation 4, hoping that I would get, you know, more time with Tesso and more time with the PS4. In doing so, I think that's fantastic. You know, Star Trek Online just recently had their Delta Recruit event. So, and we've been trying to get together regular fleet nights. I'm back to playing Defiant here and there. Jesus, I don't know. I mean, I bought other, you know, these sandbox survival games like 7 Days to Die, Savage World, and, you know, other games like that. So none of these, though, are really grabbing me. I had backed Crowfall for a couple days, and then I pulled my pledge realizing that, you know what, I'll probably end up trying it when it releases, but I really don't see myself actually playing this thing for very long, and I could better use the money that they take from my pledge towards other things. So, you know, they really didn't need my support. They crested that easily. Even my time spent in Elite Dangerous has gone straight down. I haven't played that game in a long time. I'm waiting either for greater adoption among my circle or, you know, more features. So, you know, we got into this discussion on Google Plus, you know, about how MMOs are just kind of a lot of people haven't been really feeling it. And, you know, I'm thinking that my personal preference has shifted significantly since my early days when I could solo the hell out of, you know, any game. I never really played MMOs with anyone except for my friends. But now, that seems to be a much greater driving force in my adoption of a game. This past Tuesday, you know, we played Warframe. Three of us played Warframe on the PS4, and, you know, one of the players was incredibly, you know, advanced since he plays it religiously, you know, which basically I was the lowest character in the team, which meant that you know, I ended up getting dragged around a lot, and I didn't get to do much, which was really kind of boring, but I enjoyed playing because I got to hang around with people, right? I got to play with people, we were chatting, you know, and other stuff. That has become more important to me than the games that I play, meaning I'll play almost anything if I've got people to play with. So, you know, the natural progression being, well, why don't you know, find a group to play with? That has turned out to be the very difficult part. There's two reasons. One, there's a core group of people that I, you know, hang around with online, or, you know, my friends in real life. These people are I'm not going to say they're casual, but we seem to prioritize a lot of things ahead of, you know, time, making time to get together. And that could be because of work responsibilities, it could be because of family responsibilities, or it could be just because, you know, we don't necessarily want to play all the time. So that really makes it difficult because, you know, the time that I want to play doesn't quite align with the time that other people want to play, or vice versa. Secondary, you know, the other option, of course, is to find an established group that does play a game regularly. And on paper, that sounds like a really great idea. I've tried it, and I have an abysmal success rate. The only two successes that I can really count came from Vanguard, when I was with the Ascension Guild, and Warhammer Online, when I was in the, and I'm probably mispronouncing it, the Rosendub Guild. Both of those groups were absolutely fantastic. They lived up to their recruiting message of, you know, a lot of guilds will be like, oh, we're like a family. And those are generally the guilds I try to go for, because I figured, well, you know, these people really understand the value of working and playing together. But the problem being is that most of them fail miserably at living up to that ideal. The two guilds that I really enjoyed were very much like family. They went out of their way to make everybody feel that they really were a part of this organization. Like, everybody in the guilds went to this length. That's not an easy thing to do, and I understand why more guilds don't do that. Partially because it requires members to, you know, want to socialize beyond their established cliques. And also it will require them to give up their own game time on a regular basis to ensure that the entire body of the guild is operating at peak efficiency. And to be honest, you know, nobody starts playing a game so they can, you know, be the HR manager, right? They play in the game because they want to play. And of course, on the flip side being, you know, you have to have the kind of personality that feels comfortable butting into people's cliques, right? Because a lot of these established guilds, they have history together. They have friendships together. And, you know, it's very difficult to break into that, if not impossible. If, you know, the people in those cliques, they may be friendly, they may be really nice people, but if they're not going to, you know, meet you halfway, you're kind of SOL. Now, of course, you know, meeting you halfway implies that you have to meet them halfway, and that's the second problem. You know, I don't have that kind of personality, unfortunately. I have more desire than ability. I'm not the kind of person that can break into people's cliques. So, you know, that's been kind of a real thorn in my side. So, you know, the two guilds that I really liked actually went, you know, 90% of the way to meet me, which actually allowed me to eventually end up, you know, meeting them further. So it wasn't them 90%, me 10%. It was initially, but eventually it ended up being, you know, me 75%, them 25%. And that was because they actually took the time to, you know, go out of their way rather than, you know, only doing as much as they felt they need to, you know, by saying simply, you know, hi in the chat channel when I log in, and then never anything else. So I don't know, it's difficult. So I think for me that's kind of a good reason why I haven't been playing a lot of things recently. I just haven't quite found either the game I can stick with, or basically a community that I feel, you know, comfortable being a part of.